Do what? We're live. All right, so it is 6 o'clock, a little after 6 o'clock. You are watching, listening to Where You Want to Eat. Well, if you've noticed, it's just me. So we are expecting a guest, and hopefully they'll be able to show up. If not, you know what? You're here, I'm here. My wife, Jennifer, second week in a row, whatever allergens out there has just zapping people. I feel a little bit myself, but at the same time, you know what? You've taken the time to come here. I'm going to give you a show. So tonight, special story that I'm just saving for the one time. This is one of my favorite experiences, and you're not going to believe what restaurant it was. So, the legend of Happy Joe. So, whenever I came to Texas, because I grew up all over the world, okay? I was born in one state, then moved to another state, then moved to Europe, lived in Europe, moved to California. My parents would send me to Texas, and now, when I went with my other grandparents, that's where I had Mean Man Juice. So if you remember that story that I told a while ago on Mean Man Juice, that's one place. But the other grandparents would take me to this one Mexican food restaurant. Well, I'm a kid, don't know any different, and it was an exciting place. I couldn't even really tell you the name of it at the time. I just knew it was so magical at that place. You would lift up this little flag, and then you could get some more food. Well, those of us that are in Texas, that have grown up in Texas, have been in Texas as long as I have, we all know you raise the flag at, okay, you guys didn't say it. I'll say it for you since nobody's here. Pancho's. Okay, Pancho's is a Mexican buffet. Well, it's really kind of a unique concept. You go through the front. Whenever you want something new, you raise a flag. That lets the waiter know to come by and check on you, and they would bring you an extra this or that. So, do what? Oh, just somebody walking by. Random person. Oh, howdy.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Good. Nice to meet you. Chad Duncan.
Hi, Chad.
Well, we are already live, so let me finish this part of the story, and then you've walked in at the most interesting part. You're gonna be like, why is this dude telling a story about my food? I usually tell a story at the beginning, and I'm trying to get everyone kind of interested, like what is he talking about, and how does this relate to Rio Mambo? Well, believe me, I'm about to connect it. So it's just saying, whenever I first came to Texas, I went to this restaurant, and I was a little kid, and it was the most amazing experience that at the table, I would lift up this little flag, and along came the waiter. Well, it's Pancho's. Well, anybody that has been here, they go, oh, Pancho's. Some people will be like, oh, Pancho's. So, Pancho's is a corporate entity, and there was one particular place I would say, oh, well, that Pancho's is good. Well, that Pancho's is not so good. It's kind of back and forth. My friends told me, they're like, dude, we're going to Pancho's tonight. And I'm like, Pancho's? Dude, I've been to Pancho's, man. They're like, no, man, you've got to experience Happy Joe. I'm like, what? And they're like, trust me. Hopefully he's working. So we're going to a Mexican buffet to meet a guy named Happy Joe. Well, my friends brought the thunder, because truly it was so amazing to be able to go and experience service like this. Most of the time, because the reason why I'm saying, some people are like, oh, Pancho's. Here's the thing about Pancho's. Pancho's is not about quality Mexican food. It's about quantity Mexican food. It's how much Mexican food you're going to eat. Now, is it good? No. Because I'm going to tell you, the rice and beans, here's what it's good for. If you take the rice and beans and you mix it together, you can make a really good stucco house. Because people make gingerbread houses. I would make a stucco house because that's all the rice and beans were good for. But Happy Joe was so passionate. He was so saucy. He made it exciting and grateful to be there. He was lively. He always had some sort of witticism. He was so hilarious just being there. And I, at the end he would be like, hey, would you guys like sopapillas? And I'm like, yeah. And we're just so excited to be there because it was just, he was so attentive, he was so good, but he was so funny. I mean, I literally cannot reenact the way he was, but I'll give you one of the little tidbits of the stories of what was amazing about Happy Joe. So it was sopapilla time, and he said, oh, have you ever had a Joe Papilla? No. And he goes, I'll take care of you. And this is where it's totally different. Now, sopapillas, they're these little baked little good, and you put butter and honey on them, and they're quite delicious. They're layered, and they're usually puffy in the middle. So he brings a sopapilla that's about yay big. Now, for those of you not tuned in on Facebook Live, it's about an 8.5 by 11. 8.5 by 11 size sopapilla when they're normally about 2 inches by 2 inches. So this guy's bringing me just this huge monstrous sopapilla. I mean, I was floored. It was so fun. I mean, I'd had sopapillas before, but I'd never had a Joe Papilla. And that was he was creative. He made it interesting in food that when Joe wasn't there, I'd build stucco houses out of the rice and beans because that's all the Pancho's food was really good for. So I remember the one time he was like, "Hey, are you ready for a Joe Papilla?" I'm like, "Oh man, I'm stuffed." He goes, "Oh, I'll bring a Joe Papito." Well, I don't speak Spanish, and he was trying to say a little sopapilla. So he brought out these like $half size sopapillas. Now, it's still Pancho's. Is it good? No. But was it fun? Oh my gosh, yes. Joe literally was getting from us, between all of us, I think each one of us were kicking in $10 each for a tip. Because you were paying for the show. We had such a great time with Joe. When I first started dating Jennifer, and it was her birthday, we took her there for her first time, and she finally got to meet Happy Joe. Well, as saucy and as funny as he was competing with an element he was ill prepared for, my friends. Because this is why some of the tonight's show and last time's show, it's definitely missing an element. Without Jennifer here, it is just me. Well, Joe has not been prepared for Jennifer. So it was her birthday, so Joe always put on a show. Joe was so amazing that Pancho's actually put him in their commercials, because that was part of the appeal, is going there to see Joe. So he was part of the commercial. So, and right now I'm sure Brenda's going, he's comparing my restaurant to Pancho's. Trust me, you're gonna see how I'm gonna connect the two. You're gonna be like, no, we're not even close. You are not even close. You're right. But stick with me. We're almost finished. So Joe put on such a show when it was somebody's birthday. You've got, let's face it, when you go to some of those corporate entities and you say, oh, look, it's their birthday. Happy birthday. Happy. And it's terrible for the servers. Not Joe. Joe was like, oh, it's your birthday? Dude, he went crazy. Like, he made such a big deal. He got the waiters, and those waiters they loved to just see the energy and what he was bringing to your table, to the environment. So he gets Jennifer to stand up on the chair, and he's got all of his minions there ready to help her. He gives her a sombrero to put on, and of course it's this outrageous sombrero, and he hands her maracas and he goes, shake them. Well, he's dealing with my wife, and she didn't shake the maracas, she shook something else at him. And I had never seen Joe just nothing fazed him. He turned beet red when she shook him at him. He was like, okay, you sit down. You've got to calm down. He actually met his match with Jennifer. And you know, I love Happy Joe. I mean, to take not even mediocre, because my grandparents thinking that, okay, you're here in Texas, let me take you to Poncho's so you can experience Mexican food. Whew. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think that there's another equivalent out there. Poncho's is not real Mexican food. It's I mean, they were serving pasta. Pasta? I was like, what? But that was at the definitely Poncho's had jumped the shark when they started doling out pasta. I was like, okay, yeah, you guys really are just trying to get people in here and trying to do this. It's like going to a Mexican food restaurant for a hamburger. You know, you're just doing that for children. You're doing that for these other things. But you know what? The reason why I wanted to tell this story, the reason why I wanted to share, you know, when you are taking something and you are putting your passion and your love, Joe, he loved his job. Was Joe a genuinely happy guy? He actually was. And it brought me up to go to Poncho's because you could tell that somebody is doing something special. And so if you are not seeing the elements of what I'm weaving, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, if you have not been to Rio Mambo, there is such an excitement from the residents just in Burleson. Now, I know Rio Mambo is not just in Burleson, but since it was coming here, Brent, I live in Burleson, everybody in this area was so excited when you all were coming. Number one, brand new building, but your parking lot, my dad, of course, you may not realize, like, hey, this guy's rocking sunglasses. For those of you that have never met me, if you're a Rio Mambo fan and are connected and like, why is this guy telling the story? Why is the guy wearing sunglasses? I'm blind. Every time we're driving by Rio Mambo, it's busy. I am not from Texas. I got here as soon as I could. My first girlfriend in Texas said, if you want to know where to eat, you look and see where the cars are. Because I'm from big cities. You know, there's restaurants that there's always cars at different restaurants. But at Rio Mambo, it is always busy. Why? Because the food is good, the drink specials are fantastic, and you are bringing quality Tex-Mex food to our area. And I'm thankful that you came here tonight, but I'm also thankful that you are making the investment in our community.
Awesome, Chad. Very nice to meet you. Thanks for having us. I've said this once, and I'll say it many more times. We're excited to be in Burleson. We feel like it's a real honor. It really is kind of hits the sweet spot of who we are. Rio Mambo stands for Relationships Matter, and this community has embraced us. They've been enthusiastic. They've still been busy training us. We're still learning, but as long as we're here, we're going to continue learning and striving to do our best.
You know, for those of you that are tuning in and you're just hearing about Rio Mambo, or you've heard of Rio Mambo but you've not taken the time, go to their website, okay? And it's riomambo.com.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I noticed. You have people that have worked for you for a very long time.
We have. That's a special. When we talk about family, we've got kids. My goal when I opened this company was to put 3 kids through college. After that happened, we realized we had a lot of kids to put through college. We have over 400 employees, and we've been blessed to have probably 30 or 40% of that with us for more than 15 years.
How did you start this? Where did it start? Because I was scouring the website to get some insights. How did this you know, this drive to put 3 kids through school, how did this dream begin?
Well, you know, I grew up in San Antonio, and every time a gas station closed down, a Mexican restaurant opened its place. And it's funny because, listen, I've lifted the flag many, many times. So I resonate with your story, and I'm gonna go hire that gentleman because he sounds like a great guy.
Happy Joe's great.
But no, of all the things I've done, Mexican restaurants were always in the back of my mind, and always wanted to do a Mexican restaurant. Rio, the idea of Rio came. My brother and I had decided at some point in our lives we're going to open a restaurant on the river in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. Well, as we got older and as we looked at the industry, I've had the opportunity to have restaurants or run restaurants in touristy areas. And their tourist areas are great to go visit. They're not the greatest to serve.
Right.
So we realized that was kind of a pipe dream just because we grew up there. But he went on to open, get a franchise of his own of Wendy's. My sister and her husband did Chick-fil-A. They got 2 Chick-fil-A's. And Rio was still in my mind, and Mexican restaurants were still in my mind. So in 2001, after I got out of a partnership with a steakhouse, I told my wife, I said, it's time to do this. I'm gonna open this restaurant. And she looked at me and laughed because I don't know how many times previous I told her that. And so I said, no, I really am. This is it. I'm going to do this. I figured it was a time. I was unemployable, early 40s. And so we went at it. And her brother had a belief in me. And so we partnered, and he built them and I ran them. And now he's still around, and I'm building them and still running them. And we just had a great time. But of all the ones we built, and I'm not just saying that because I'm here in Burleson, I'm really not. I'm saying that coming to Burleson, when Robert Dow had approached me, he's a gentleman who owns Old Town Station, the building, and he said Burleson, I just knew it was very, very right for who we are based on several experiences we've had as a company.
Well, now we're Joco Community Radio, and the one thing that I've always noticed is the county seat is in Cleburne, but there is so much action, and I know that Burleson has just exploded in the last few years, but it really seems like this location is prime real estate. You've made some serious investment. I mean, my wife's describing to me the trees and just how nice everything is, and just it looks like you really laid everything out.
Well, I tell you, again, I don't want to understate this, and I don't want to overstate it, but Robert Dow came to me, and we sat down, and we kind of battled back and forth a little bit. We're both we're very strong Christians, but we both are pretty intense about what we want. And I knew that in talking with him, he was committed to a level of excellence. But he owns Silver Creek Mining. He's a horticulturist. He's a master of a lot of different trades. But when he started talking about how he wanted to put the palm trees, and he wanted to make this building and make it the center of the gateway to the Old Town Station, his enthusiasm alone said, this is a guy that I want to be involved in. And listen, he's done everything he said he's going to do, so we're trying to do our part. Well,
now that we've just kind of talked about the location, when we come back from the commercial, we're going to get to the important part, the food.
Yes, sir.
So
we're not ready for a commercial break.
We're going to get to the food.
Awesome.
So here's what I noticed. First of all, the word of mouth about Rio Mambo. I live in a subdivision, and people literally are checking in here, and it just pings. So I've got a lot of friends in the neighborhood that they're excited to go here. And the first thing I heard about, and I think this is important, is your chips and salsa. Like if you get that wrong, you can't. But then they were talking about the drink specials. So talk about your chips and salsa. How did you kind of put those together? Because I'm going somewhere.
Okay, well, listen, chips was pretty easy. They're moving in different directions in different communities. I'll tell you for San Antonio as an example. The thicker corn, yellow corn, strong corn flavor, that's where San Antonio is going. And there are other cities in South Texas. But listen, I like to present Mexican food as clean, as healthy as it could possibly be done. So I went with a light corn to begin with because it doesn't weigh you down. We cook it in 100% canola oil, so there's no animal fats involved. And so you can actually eat the chips and salsa and don't feel like you have to go take a nap. As far as salsa, we just keep it really simple. Just fresh ingredients, whole peeled tomatoes, cilantro, fresh garlic, jalapeno. Sometimes we'll use a different pepper depending on the season. But just really fresh whole ingredients. And we're not trying to, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Just really clean, fresh, and we do it fresh every day.
Okay, so now this is where I was like, this is something special. I could tell you had really thought this through. So besides just getting chips and salsa, which you can get at other places, when we order the guacamole and the queso, what do you guys do differently?
Well, I'm really frank and really transparent here. It's all about ingredients. You and I can have the same exact recipe, but if I use better ingredients than you, then I'm going to win. So I worked with some really good chefs, kind of mid part of my career. Chris Ward, who has the Mercury Grill over in Dallas, I always shout his name out because he really taught me a lot about fresh, quality ingredients. And so it's fairly simple. We use aged Monterey Jack cheese and aged cheddar cheese, and people don't understand the value of aging. Aging wine, aging cheese, aging meats. Mm-hmm. It gives you very assertive flavor profiles. So while I can save a bunch of money on just a regular random cheese, or even many restaurants will say it's a non-dairy product, and so I said, well, wait, hold on a second. Non-dairy. Do you know what non-dairy means? It means not dairy. So what is that other 30%? So.
Did you know this? In the 80s, Cheese Whiz was classified as a plastic?
Yes.
Oh,
yes, sir.
Okay, but here's where I was hoping you were going. There's a different chip that comes out with that.
Right.
Why?
With the guacamole?
Yeah.
Because the table chips are very light.
Mm-hmm.
And our avocado is very chunky.
Yes.
So when you dip down into that avocado, we only want you to leave half a chip there. And plus, listen, when you were the group, you wanted something pretty to shovel that stuff so you get your fair share before it's gone.
Yeah. and that's what I was like, okay. This is why I said it. I can tell you're doing something special, because it was like, well, there's more chips here. Now, usually some folks only just do one. And so I did try. I'm like, well, let me try the first chips that came out with the guacamole, and exactly like you said, okay.
Gone.
But I tried what is it, flour? That's the second one, why they're thicker?
It's just a thicker corn.
Okay, thicker corn. Okay. The thicker ones, I liked it with the guacamole. But, when I combined the thinner, lighter chip with the queso.
Right.
That was some
good.
poetry right there.
Absolutely. And we serve the guacamole just for that one reason, so you can get a nice scoop and a nice crunch. But the thin chip, and I've had them all. Mm-hmm. The thin, light corn, it's light. It's got great flavor, and again, you don't feel like you have to take a nap after eating your meal. So we try to do as fresh as we can.
The guacamole, y'all. So when you go there, I definitely highly recommend, because usually you're thinking, well, why order guacamole? Why order the queso? And you know what? They really you are thoughtful about this. So I could just tell that was right there. So when somebody comes in, what would you tell them you would like for them to experience? Right? I mean, I'm obviously talking about the chips and salsa, guacamole, and the queso. Somebody's never been to Rio Mambo. What should they have as an appetizer?
I tell you what, one of my favorite appetizers is our chicken chipotle quesadillas. And one or two of them is all you need before a meal, probably just one of them. But the flavor profile in those, we've got a chipotle sauce that goes with them. And then we do the yin and the yang. What am I trying to say, Chef, with the onions? And sugar.
Caramelize them.
Caramelize. I always forget that. Caramelize versus saute. Caramelizes with sugar, sautés with butter. So we caramelize the vegetables, and then we do a very nice zing with a fresh chipotle in that sauce. Mm-hmm. And man, I'd arm wrestle somebody over who thinks there's a better quesadilla. Not because we serve it, I promise you. I just it's crunchy, it's flavorful, it's nice and light. My chef over here from the Rim is raving his head. He just got here from Utah here about a month ago, and we've indoctrinated him into Mexican food here in Dallas.
Well, I do have to say, you are calling it light, but you know what? It's not light in flavor, and it's not light in the sense that you've. I think we've all gone to a restaurant and ordered quesadillas, and like there's almost nothing there.
Right.
That was not true for y'all. My wife had the. Of course, if Howard has it, then I get to have some of it. We had the brisket quesadillas.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
so how do you do the brisket? I mean, you.
Well, I had to do brisket. I spent early part of my career, about 10 years in barbecue business, and we're in Texas.
Yes.
So brisket was a kind of a natural deal. Working on the recipe, it's again fresh ingredients. We'll use fresh garlic. We'll use fresh poblano peppers, fresh onions. We wrap it, season it, wrap it, and cook it slowly overnight. So when you come in, the outer edge, which is typically the fatty part of it, has either fallen away or melted into it. So all you're left with is a really nice product. And then we have a nice seasoning we saute it with, back with some fresh poblano peppers and onions, some fresh garlic, and it's done.
And exactly, because you know what? You didn't hide it with, like, some people try to hide a inferior product with some sort of
Sauce?
yes.
Well, you know what barbecue sauce is, right? Excuse for bad barbecue. So we have a pasilla sauce we serve it with, but listen, we want you to eat it by itself, and if it's right, it's right.
It was right. It was right on it. Everything just like you said, profile. That's a good word to describe it, because it definitely had attitude. It was there. That's why I said. That's why I wanted to. I've got so many stories in my head about food, and food brings people together, and we get to talk and go over the meaning of life and.
We could be here for a while then.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like when we're talking about food, all that brings it there, and so you want to know where to go to get a good meal. And even my supervisor was talking about different places to go, and so many people in Burleson and the Johnson County area are pointed right at Rio Mambo. You've got some special things happening. We'll definitely talk about what's coming up and after a commercial break, but after an appetizer. What are some things that, like, I went with the flautas because I just wanted to see how you were going to cook those and prepare those, and I wanted to try your what kind of beans are those? I didn't have the refried.
The borracho beans are the
Borracho.
Yeah. We call it bean soup, borracho beans.
Yeah, so those, I mean, that was a real unique combination. And you get guacamole and sour cream when you get the flautas. Did a very nice job. So how did you? It sounds like you've got some chefs involved. Is that anything? Like, how did you develop the flautas?
Well, we're all frustrated chefs, so never trust a skinny chef. Okay, so again, it's just upbringing. We grew up eating that food, that stuff, and it's funny that you talk about that, Chad, because those are the basics. Those are the things that I grew up with. I mean, flautas and enchiladas are like burgers and fries to me. And I've, to this day, my wife, who is also here, she won't come in front of the camera, but she can't. I eat Mexican food 7 days a week. So over the years, while those are my basics, and we definitely kind of like the chips and salsa. Yeah. You got to do enchiladas right. You got to do flautas right. You got to do tostadas right. I get excited about different versions of what we do. We do a lot of different seafood things. I'm a big sauce guy. I like spicing things up a little bit. So there's areas of our menu that we've got to introduce you to. We've got to bring you over to. Nothing wrong with the basics, but go ahead.
No, see, you mentioned something that I'm folding my hands, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't had a tostada in 28 years.
Well, you're missing something then.
So probably a reason why I haven't had a tostada, it was probably done wrong.
Okay.
How do you do it? Because as you're saying as a basic, then I'm thinking, okay, then I've done something. I obviously had a bad one. So how do you do it right? What do you do differently?
Well, to me, the tostada is an extension over just a larger chip. It's a thin, light corn tortilla and then we add various things on it. Obviously, traditionally, it's beans, cheese, lettuce. We'll do chorizo on them. We'll do picadillo beef. We'll do shredded chicken. We'll even do brisket on them. But one of my favorites, because it's a twist, I do black beans with chorizo on top of them, chunks of avocado, a little añejo cheese. But to me, it's just like taking a page and painting a picture. All the ingredients and all the layers you put in. And as you'll find out when we start talking about the rim, we really focus on flavor profile, texture, and again, I use the term light just because heavy, you get that all around. And don't get me wrong, we've got plenty of heavy foods.
Right.
But I like to take the tortilla, whether it's flour or corn, and start off that as kind of our canvas. And then just put great ingredients on top that go well together from a flavor profile and a texture standpoint.
Okay, I'm going to be straight with you for a moment here.
Okay.
Later tonight, I'm going to roll this part of this video back,
Uh-huh.
and I'm going to play how you described your tostada multiple times. That was beautiful.
Thanks.
I had never had a tostada like that.
Well, you're gonna get one here soon then.
Oh, I mean, so yeah, so the reason why I'm kind of like frustrated because sometimes my wife will read to me certain things and she'll be like, they have burrito, they have tostada, and I'm like, tostada. I was easily able to dismiss it, so she didn't read to me what you do with it.
Yeah.
I just thought I would go for a basic because you know what, if someone can't do a flauta right, then
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So that's why I was like tostada. I got to go back to that. Okay, so somebody starts tostada. What do you do differently with your burritos, or how do you do burritos? Because I think that there are a lot of places out there that they're called wraps. I love how I think it's George Lopez talks about.
I love George. I've heard his references on that. Again, it starts off with the tortilla. It's got to be nice and fresh. We do it in flour. Now we'll do our burrito. Mm-hmm. You've heard of the chimichangas. We don't call them that, but we'll take a burrito and we'll give you a choice of grilling it with a really nice crust, mm-hmm. or lightly frying it. Mm. Okay, and they're both excellent. And then it just goes back into what you put inside of it. We do some sautéed peppers and onions to start off as a base, some vegetables for the flavor and the crunch. One of our favorite ones is, of course, brisket. We put brisket in there. Mm-hmm. And your choice of black beans or refried beans. Of course, plenty of Monterey Jack and cheddar. Mm-hmm. And then again, depending if it's fried, if it's grilled, then the vegetables, lettuce, tomato, sour cream, guacamole goes inside. If not, it goes on top.
You're an artist.
You work with you. This is what you call food porn, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, this is what's so funny. It's like whenever I'm like, I always go eat somewhere, and then people will say, "So where you guys think I'm going next?" And I'll say, "Well, this is what we had." And as I'm going through and I'm describing, Rio Mambo, and they're like, "Dude, I'm hungry." So yeah, I think some of my friends get mad at me because I'm like, they're like, "Dude, I can't watch your show." I'm like, "Why?" I get hungry, man, because the way you're describing things, and I mean, just the way you're describing this, I'm going. So I could tell you've got a lot of passion behind this. So is this you and where?
Yeah, the same guy. It's my chef today. His name is Eloy Reyes. He's my executive chef.
Okay. What's an executive chef? So tell.
For us, my executive chef, he's over all of the restaurants. So he spends time in every single restaurant. Every restaurant has a chef and a sous chef. As an executive chef, he works through the recipes in each restaurant about every week and a half. So for consistency purpose. I've been with enough large companies where the larger you get, the more inconsistency. And listen, we have our challenge with it, I assure you. And that's what he's for. But, when he came to work for me, he was probably 25 years old, and he had worked in a Mexican restaurant before. He worked for me came to work for me as a cook at my steakhouse, and he had a lot of initiative, and I could tell by the way he handled the food, he had a lot of pride in it. Mm-hmm. And as I asked him questions about different foods, his flavor profile was good. He knew when there was too much salt. He knew what was missing if it was missing. So I started working with him on things that Chris Ward had showed me in terms of demi-glace and different prep items and just all the different, how to trim a steak, how to cut up, a pismo. And his hunger for learning was so great that after I left there and began Rio Mambo, he was easily the choice. So he and I got together and we took some recipes we both knew. We started cooking them, kind of like we've done with Doug over here at the Rim. We cook them, we play with them a little bit, but the cool part of it, if we got to a dead end where something was just average, I said it's missing something. You know, and that something may be garlic, it may be cilantro, it's something small that does everything. So I'd give him cards, telephone cards, to call home. His dad is actually a chef in Mexico. And he'd call home, he said, this is what we're doing, this is what we're looking for. Ah, amigo. Necesitamos más cilantro, tú sabes that cilantro, you know. And so that's kind of how we threw we do a crema verde, which is a classic cream sauce. And most restaurants will do a chicken stock, they'll do sour cream, of course. That to me is a little too bland, and even for the ones who add a little bit of lime juice. So we said we needed something to give it more citrus flavor, give it some more pizzazz. So we just took tomatoes, blended them up with the fresh lime juice, and so we have a more assertive flavor on that particular sauce. So it's just little things like that. I'm always cooking at home. We're always playing with things. I'm always challenging him with different flavors, different profiles, different presentations, if you will. And he likes to play as much as I do in the kitchen. So he's been a great, and he's been with me. He's got 3 children now, and he's getting ready to put some through college. So that just says I'm getting old. That's all it means.
Wow. So now to complement that, you've got to have the right drinks.
Right.
So what are you doing special there? I mean, I know you have lots of specials, but you've definitely got some twists there.
Well, again, it goes back to the ingredients. You've heard people say that it doesn't matter what kind of cheese, you're going to put sauce on it and they're going to taste it. It doesn't matter what kind of tequila, you're going to put it in a drink, you can put ice in it, they're not going to taste it. Well, there are people out there that,
notice.
They do notice. There's some people that, raise the flag and they don't notice. or they don't care. They're going for the service, they're going for the fun. Listen, there's a lot of different things. But if you notice, if you want something quality, Brian and I have talked about this with the Rim. People, you want to have 2 really great drinks or 4 really bad ones. So we started off by just having a relationship with Salsa.
Okay.
And Salsa's in our house margarita. And the fact that I can sell it for $8, does it mean I should? No, so I sell it for $4.99. As long as I can. And then we'll bump it up to a regular price. But there's still Salsa. It's 100% agave. Our top shelf is a Dobel. My wife and I and some of my managers go down to Mexico, to Tequila City, and we actually help with the blends because it's got a reposado, it's got the agave, and it's got the the añejo, and we literally take a test tube and we fill it with this, we fill it with that, and so they have the recipe. So last time you went with 20% reposado, that was a little to this, or here's what we're doing now, and so our top shelf margarita, the Dobel, is something we play with every 6 months, and we're real proud of that. That goes into our Martinez Martini. And so, like our food, it's the ingredients and it's the freshness of what we put in it.
Do you know how many people right now are like, I would like to be on that testing. Can I be on that panel, please?
Well, you're going to have a chance with the Room here in a few days, maybe a week or so. So I'm going to be asking you to come over and help me test the food.
Definitely. Well, how are we on time? Do we need to take a break, and then we'll come back?
Whenever you're ready.
Let's take a break, and so when we come right back, we're still going to be live on Facebook.
Okay.
So don't say, oh hey Chad, your shirt, you got a stain right here. So we're still going to be live on Facebook. But for those of you that are on TuneIn and are on other places, please pay attention to our sponsors. Without our sponsors, we would not have this radio station and be able to bring you an interview with Brent Johnson,
Brian James.
Hey, you know what? In here, and everything we're talking about, everything's blended together.
That's it.
It's beautiful.
That's it.
So we'll be right back for those of you on TuneIn.
Thanks for having us. I got some food coming to you.
I'm excited.
We got a messy sandwich here, which was one of our core menus at the Rim. So I want you to have an opportunity to eat it. You gonna have an opportunity to eat it while I talk?
Yes.
Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do. Yeah, definitely.
I want you to have an opportunity to eat it. We got one for you as well.
Awesome.
And so what kind of sandwiches are these?
We just call this one the messy sandwich.
messy.
It's the rim messy sandwich. When you order this, we give you a roll of your own paper towels. It's a great sandwich, and I'll
Really?
talk to you about it when we do it.
Okay.
Jennifer wanted me to read some of these comments off for
Oh,
you.
please do.
Pam said that she's never heard you speechless before. And then Jennifer also said that y'all are making her the allergy queen hungry.
Yeah, so normally my wife is here. The last 2 weeks, whatever has blown in,
through.
it has just torn up all my coworkers, torn up my wife. So she was, believe me, she wanted to be here tonight.
I'm gonna put some in your right hand.
These are mini versions.
These are just mini bites. Obviously it's harder to recreate it out here. I'll give you some napkins.
Messy sandwich.
Messy sandwich. You're gonna see what here in a minute.
So the first thing that I'm going to say right off, from sampling, the meat is nice and light. So when he's described, it's a nice light meat. It doesn't feel really heavy. The flavors are just popping together beautifully. As a blind guy, I'm kind of going, I wonder what I'm having here.
I'm gonna tell you.
There's all different kinds of just flavors that are all over this.
I'm not even sure what I'm eating. I can see.
This sandwich, I'll tell you real quick. So there's a little history to it. There's a little place down in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and this guy sells a version of this. This is obviously my interpretation of it. Many of the things that I do, be it design or quality food or whatever it is, I get ideas from other people because people have great ideas, and then we interpret it. So this bread, of course, just because for the sake of this show, we're going to use tell me what kind of bread we're going to use.
French roll.
French roll, a large French roll, which we do that because it's going to be toasted with Monterey Jack and sharp cheddar cheese.
Right here in Fort Worth.
All of our breads at the rim are baked here in Fort Worth by a really nice lady and man.
Francine, shout out.
Shout out to Francine and Philippe. They cook bread for some of the best chefs here in Fort Worth area. John Manel and company. But we start off with the bread because that's what we need to do. Okay, then a really nice fresh cheese, Monterey Jack, and cheddar cheese and a pepper jack cheese. The flavors you're tasting there is we've got a base sauce, which is a spicy mayo with jalapenos, and we have some other ingredients in there. We can't tell you what they all are.
We're back on tuning, by the way.
Okay, so
Matt's like, hey, I'm going to get back on tune in so I can finish with the commercials.
Sandwich,
So for those of you that are just coming back, that are listening on your Amazon Echo or your Google whatever, or you're on the TuneIn app, we are back. I'm having a fantastic conversation with Brian and Brent from the Rim and Rio Mambo. Brent is the owner, and Brian is
The general manager.
general manager. So I'm eating. So this is why I'm like having to try to choke out these words. Not choke out these words because I'm still trying to eat. I'm having a messy sandwich, which you're like, well, Chad, any food that you're trying to eat is probably going to be messy. But that's what it's called. It's called the messy sandwich. It's going to be at the Rim coming up. So I'm just in the middle of this, and Brent is telling us a little bit more about it. So I'm going to be over here. I'm going to be noisily eating because it's messy, and he's going to be describing what all is on here. So we're back live. So what kind of meat is this?
So we have a combination of roasted turkey, a Black Forest ham, and a fresh roast beef. And then we take the hoagie, we put the cheeses on them, and then we toast it we have a brick oven pizza. So we get a nice toasty bread and melted cheese. And we've got the ham and turkey on there. We bring it back out. We slather it, key term for training. We slather it with our spicy mayo. And then we take the pot roast, the roast beef, and we dip it in a very nice brown gravy. And then we put that on top of the ham and the turkey. Lightly shaved lettuce, iceberg lettuce. And we close that up. and we hand you that and a roll of towels, and now you're eating the messy sandwich. So it's really simple stuff. As you can see, it's turkey, ham, and roast beef.
Super light, but messy, but good. And when you said the jalapeno mayo, I wouldn't have guessed mayonnaise. Not tasting it, but it is there, and it's beautifully. It's just kind of like it just needs that one last little thing to complete the painting, and it's right there. It's beautiful. It's like the Mona Lisa of messy sandwiches.
Well, that's what we bring all those things. And when you eat that, Chad, our goal on every dish on the menu at the Rim is we want you to walk out and still remember what you ate when you walk out. The flavors should pretty much explode in a way, and whether it's textures or flavors, those are the things we're trying to really emulate in every item. So I challenge both Brian and come on in, Brian. I mean, Doug.
I'm not shaking hands because I thought my hands are messy.
Doug, Doug Griffith, we through the process of opening the Rim, Brian and I put together a list of about 15 chefs. We culled it down to about 6 that we actually allowed to cook, and or cook for us. And of all places, we brought Doug all the way from Utah because he was able to translate our menu not only in ways that we had already shared with him, but he was able to translate it in ways that were very, very significant or very, very specific to Doug and his experiences. So we're excited about having him on board.
Okay, so Rio Mambo, Tex-Mex, I've been there. Now, for those of you that have not been driving by Renfro and 35, everyone has been asking me. They're asking me like I know. So on the building itself, they're like, "Oh, look, there's a construction trailer out there on the side of the building." And then the next day, my dad would say, "No, it looks like they're moving it in. It's not a construction trailer. It's like one of those Airstream things." I'm like, it's in the building. So what is the Rim? What are you all doing? The people that are my friends are like, what's going on down there? So please tell us, what is the Rim going to be?
Well, we had an extra 4,500 square feet left after Rio Mambo, and so I couldn't just leave it empty, and Robert gave me a nice opportunity. So we closed in the patio with some glass and sliding glass doors after we rolled in the trailer. We wanted to have a lot of fun with it. We have fun in everything we do. We're at our restaurants more than we're at our houses, so relationships matter. We're building relationships, but we start off by, hey, let's have some fun. Let's do something where people could come and get something they can't get somewhere else. And so that was the whole challenge to both Brian and to Doug. Let's create something that, listen, we're not going to recreate the wheel. We're going to do pizzas. But I want to do the best pizzas. We're going to do sandwiches. Let's do a messy sandwich. We're going to do poke tuna. Let's do some poke tuna. Let's do the new sandwich craze. And this is what he sold us on. He has a fried chicken banh mi with the greatest sauce and winner chicken dinner. So that's how we fell in love with Doug.
So it's almost, now for what you're describing, it's like a food truck.
It is. It's slid in there. Our entire kitchen, all the food comes out of it. We've got a hole in the side where we put a brick oven pizza. We're grilling. We're char grilling. We're doing all of it inside the truck. So we call the service style at the Rim interactive.
Wow.
We're gonna bring you in. We're gonna sit you down at a table just like you do anywhere else. Mm-hmm. And the streamers, not servers, streamers. They're Airstream girls. Airstream. The streamers. They're gonna provide you with knowledge. We're gonna talk to you about the food. They're going to talk to you about the craft beers, craft drinks, and they're going to get you ready to enjoy the whole trip, which will begin at the stream. The journey at the Rim will begin at the stream. So you'll come up to the stream, you'll order your food after you've been educated on it, mm-hmm. You'll pay there, and when it comes to gratuities, we want you to give the amount of money that we deserve based on our service.
Gotcha.
So basically, they're going to be taking care of your drinks, taking care of all your condiments, taking care of a clean table. But once you place that order, then we're going to bring everything else to you. And so that's the interactive part of it. But it's going to be a lot of fun. The design is awesome. It's pretty cool to engage. The property is complete with a Marilyn Monroe room. We've got a guitar lounge. Of course, we've got a full bar with 33 seats and 7 great rounded banquet. What am I trying to say? Booths. And then we've got a patio out front with 10 tables with sliding glass doors, so when it's nice, you're outside right in front of the Airstream. So the music that Brian's putting together got great music, music television. For those who keep on asking me about the sports bar, it's down the street. We're not a sports bar. We got some great music. We got Untapped, which is a beer program that's going to educate on all our beers. All of our stuff is local, as local in Texas as we can get.
Nice.
Whether it's Waco, whether it's here in Fort Worth. And so he's done an awesome job putting that together. And let me just introduce you to Brian so Brian can say, hey, I feel like I'm doing all the talking. He's right here. Over here.
Which is, it's usually hard to shut me up. So, there's definitely the rim's super exciting. And, Brent talks about, locally sourced, it's Dallas Mozzarella Company. We're using Slavic sausage. We're getting all of our beef from Fiona, Texas. All of our whiskeys, gins, vodkas, rums, and I guess a lot of people probably don't know that, but there's some great distilleries that have opened up in Texas in the last 5 or 6 years, and a lot of our specialty cocktails are made with that. If you order orange juice at our place, we're squeezing it right from an orange for you.
Nice.
We're not buying it in a bottle. Grapefruit juice the same way. Our sweet and sour mix, we take fresh grapefruit. We take fresh lemon and fresh lime. We make our own simple syrup. We also make a Demerara syrup. We also make a cranberry syrup. We also make a pomegranate syrup. A lot of fresh herbs are involved, not only in Doug's kitchen.
My mouth is watering.
Not only in Doug's kitchen, but what it is when Brent started talking to me about this, and having also been into business and being a foodie, and obviously never trust a skinny chef is really a big part of that saying. What was so exciting to me is that, it's a great opportunity for us to really exploit local markets, to bring to show people that, just the other day, I had a bourbon out of Houston 2 days ago that just rocked my world. And, TX right here in Fort Worth has done a great job as well. And they rocked everybody's world about 2 years ago when their bourbon hit the market, and still very great. But when you sit there and you think of, man, I just had a great bourbon from Fort Worth, or I just had a great bourbon from Houston. That's some great stuff, You look at Deep Eddy Grapefruit out of Austin, Tito's. And now out of Carrollton, Texas, Western Sun. Mm-hmm. We had that Western Sun prickly pear and their blueberry vodkas. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely fantastic.
Can you tell us a little excited about it?
Yeah. Don't have to interview him. You can just... But, so... It really sounds like this is going to be a happening spot, but who is the target audience? Who do you want showing up at the Rim?
People who like good food and really good beverage. I'm going to tell you just like that, because we see families in there, and we see... Is
it open?
No.
Okay. You see it.
I apologize. We envision...
Okay.
No.
I was like, they didn't tell me.
We see this again. We're bringing this. This is our hybrid, our very first time to do it at the Rim, and we looked at each other and said, "Where is better to do it than Burleson?" Because we have so many kind of people here, and we're not only serving Burleson. As you know, we got Joshua, we got Cleveland, we got the surrounding areas, and we know, because we are foodies.
Yeah.
To get this kind of food, you got to travel a ways, and Burleson deserves to stay in Burleson.
And so much traffic goes right through. It is so convenient.
Yes, sir.
Boom, it's right there. But to me, y'all, if you are driving down 35, if you're wondering, really stop and take a look. My family just describes that building. You're doing something really special there. And the Rio Mambo, just going in, that's where I was envisioning families, because it seems like a really good family-friendly area. The outside looks really nice. My wife was describing everything to me and just going, they put a lot of thought into this. Yeah. You could tell there's some passion. So that's why I want to tell the story of Happy Joe. You could tell something special is happening here. So getting back to some of the food with Rio Mambo, then we can go right back over to Brian and Doug.
We only got about 3 minutes left for the
What?
show. Yeah.
No, we're doing a 2-hour show tonight, y'all. You kidding me? I just had a messy sandwich. 3 minutes left. Okay, so then if we got 3 minutes left, somebody going to the Rim, when does that open?
We're hoping to open it at the end of this month, definitely in April. April 30th, if it has to be April 30th. We're trying to get it open before the end of this month, a couple of weeks.
I know that there was a lot of anticipation with Rio Mambo because it wasn't open, and everyone was just like, man, there's people in there, but we can't go there yet.
Right.
So it's finally open, y'all. If you've not been there, definitely go there. And even if you see cars parked there, we drove up and boom, we were seated right away. Plenty of room in there. Everyone was really nice from just the beginning to the end. So if I don't know what the difference between whiskey and bourbon, but when somebody goes to the Rim, will they get an education?
Oh, you can count on that. You know, we're spending a whole lot of time, you know, talking with our people. As a matter of fact, a master distiller right here from Fort Worth is going to do part of our training this coming Monday for all of our new streamers and teaching them about, hey, what a great whiskey and what a great bourbon is.
Perfect. So. Yeah, I'm excited. I think that you guys have tapped into, like you were talking about the poke tuna. It seems like you guys are right on the rim.
I like that. Great job.
Of everything that is really going to be going over that tipping point, that this is going to be huge.
Happy Joe, though. This started with Happy Joe, and I know why you started with it. So what Brian said. It's about telling stories. It's about being excited about what you do, enthusiastic. That takes a lot of the experience and puts it in a nutshell. Because people coming together, talking, having a good time, telling their stories, and I love Joe Papilla.
So, RioMambo.com. Now, what's the Rim's?
www.theremrestaurant.com. Website will be up soon. Facebook I believe is already up. So
go there, check out, and I imagine there's going to be continuously changing, evolving things as one thing transitions out. You're going to weave in something brand new. Anything that people have to, like, if they went to Rio Mambo and they didn't get this, what one thing should they have?
They should have the grilled brisket tacos. You had them yourself, the grilled brisket tacos, and if they like something spicy, they need to get the rosy shrimp.
What about the fish tacos? Which one?
The fish tacos are wonderful. The tilapia fish tacos are extremely. We use tilapia sometimes. We use redfish, depending on. We always use a whitefish, but the sauces that they prepare in there, the seasoning they put on the fish, and it's always fresh.
My wife really wanted to do the fish tacos, but she's like, but the brisket. Well, we'll find out a lot right there. So she aimed for the brisket quesadillas. Yeah. So yeah, we're definitely going back, and I'm gonna, y'all. If anything, take from me. I'm admitting this. For 28 years, have never had a tostada. You will watch me. You'll see us check in on whereyouwantoeat.com. Us checking in there, and I'm going to review what a real tostada should taste like. And you'll see more reviews. But please go to riomambo.com, theremrestaurant.com. Is there a phone number they should call?
We don't have the phone number up just yet.
Gotcha.
So
all right.
You.
So definitely Rimfro and 35 in Burleson, Texas. Thank you guys so much for coming in. The messy sandwich, I highly recommend it. Very light, but at the same time, all those flavors just popping together. Oh, beautiful. Can't wait to try the poke tuna.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I can't believe it's been an hour.
It rolled pretty quick.
So, y'all.
And I didn't even talk fast.
There's a lot of passion here. Please take the time to go there. When you go there, let them know that you were sent there by Joco Community Radio, just so they can have an idea. Like and share this video. Tell your friends about it. Take your friends. You're not going to regret it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You ready for another messy sandwich? Man, I really appreciate it. I meant to talk to you and catch up with you. And just let me
I'll be coming back.
Well, we'll get
call
you.
you. I
We'll
had
get your
your
invite too.
your number on.
We're going to do some. We went
got
up
to the
around
rim
the
and
30th.
construction took off.
We're going to practice a little bit.
Appreciate the offer. I
So
really
we
do.
want some people who will come in and
No,
give us a
please,
chance.
when you got
I
something.
mean, we're getting ready to serve 25 items out of an Airstream trailer, dude. I don't know how that's going to perfectly work. You know?
This is my wife.
So
She's going to
I
shake
need
your
to
hand.
practice some.
The other 24 were the same.
We want to meet Jennifer too. So
And that's what you got to realize.
Yes.
I was bummed out because
now,
I wanted you to
tell me,
eat.
next
We wanted
time
to try
you
to
got
get here
something
early so you could eat right when we first arrived. So I'm glad it
Whatever it
turned
is.
out good.
Oh,
Call me
it was
up.
fantastic.
We'll do another hour.
Awesome.
Because I'll have gone there, I'll experience more, and I can be able to talk about this and that.